Hello and welcome to another week at droneDJ. First of all, sorry we missed you all last week. I caught a bad cold. Kirk was away, so we couldn't run the show last week. However, this week we have the headline finally getting news on the Air 3. Which looks like we're speculating how much is gonna get leaked about Air 3 before it gets released, and
Yeah,
looks like
it seems to be daily
everything.
now. Yeah,
We also
and
have a new one. Looks like a Mini 3 variation, a Mini 3S, we suspect,
mhm,
or who
yep.
knows? It could be a
They
Mini
call it a Mini
4.
4.
We don't really think so, but I guess that's part of the discussion.
Yeah,
So this week it's all about the new DJI drones. Let's kick off with Air 3. Let me share our story.
and I do have one thing to show as a little teaser to something that might be coming. I do have. I have 2 of
Looks
these.
familiar.
Look familiar to anyone who's out there in Hollywood who's using the drone I'm using now?
And
Oh,
morning to everyone who joined us today as well. Let me just
I'm gonna be using this controller for no it's turned off, but it's just gonna be, like, on my lap playing with it because I love the buttons. There's just so many buttons to press. I So, yeah, Air 3. Are you excited for the Air 3? I'm excited for the Air 3.
Well, based on the camera, based on the specs, yes. Why not?
Yeah,
Then would be I'm a little OCD. I hate when you
yeah.
have a lineup of third generation and then we still have a Air 2S lingering around. So at least
Yeah,
with Air 3, I guess would be consistent. Everything would be the third generation now, right? From DJI.
yeah. So let's play out the past week for everyone because we missed last week. So it all started like last Wednesday or so. If you ever go on our website, you see at the top of our article and sometimes and at the bottom of our article, depending on where you are on the site, we have guides that like talk about DJI or the drone or whatever other companies. Um, and if you ever went to the Air 3 guide, there were 2 articles. There was one of me complaining about the. If you're in the article right now, it should be at the bottom of the article. If you want to find it, there's the article of me complaining about the Mavic 3 Classic and that it should be considered Air 3, and then there's an article about like the leaked deals drone calendar. After as today, I think there's like 5 more articles of different leaks pertaining to the Air 3 between me and
I'm
Bruce.
surprised there weren't more.
I mean, we could have written more. Like there was the time I wrote this article yesterday morning, and there was a leaked image that like confirmed the 2 camera because like all the images were like from the side or they were super blurry, so you couldn't tell there was 1 camera or 2 cameras on the gimbal. And so like Wednesday evening, someone I think it was Jasper from 46. I don't remember what his site is. He shared an image that like clearly put in like 2 cameras. I'm like, okay, I'll write an article about this new image confirms 2 cameras on Air 3. And then it was like late at night. I'm like, I'll do it in the morning. I wake up yesterday morning and all the marketing photos are out. So that pretty much, I could have written 2 articles, but this is turned into one. And yeah, like we went from having new photos to like, like this
Well,
looks pretty Mavic 3-ish.
um
Oh, now we have
when Air 3
RC2.
news just came out, we were
Yeah.
talking about is DJI gonna try to keep a closed lid on this one, maybe not release as much information as
Yeah.
the other drones before actual
Mhm.
product launch, but
Well, the
actually,
first leak was like it's very tight-lipped. Like DJI's like shut the doors pretty much on leaks, and this has been relatively quiet. Like usually, Deals Drone and also LV like have everything out, and this has been a lot of Igor Bakadov, I think is how you pronounce his last name, and a few other sites. Another site that like the leaks are coming from weird areas this time. So I think DJI has definitely done something different with this release. That the leaks are
the
coming
result is the
elsewhere.
same. We're still getting all the information.
We have gotten everything. We've gotten pricing, at least UK and European pricing.
Suspected, right.
Yeah, that's like I wouldn't put a whole. I mean, I would say it's probably close. It's within the ballpark of what we think it's going to be. It's around like the $1,300 to $1,500 European price. So probably the maxed out version in the US will probably be close to like the Mavic 3 Classic without anything. Like I think that checks out about maybe a little high, but it checks out. But we have new controllers, so the RCN2 and then the RC2.
RC2, right.
Yeah, are 2 new controllers. It looks like the RCN2 is probably just gonna be the same thing. as the RCN1. It's just probably upgraded, probably better battery, better probably transmission system. Maybe some. Are there C1, C2 buttons on the back of the RCN1? I don't think there is.
You
I
know
don't
what?
think
I can't
so.
remember
I
actually.
think I haven't used it in forever. I don't think someone mentioned in a comment in an article that they want that. So I remember. I think they're just cooling fins on the back. I don't think there's any buttons. But if that would be a great addition. But the RC2 was. I didn't think this was real when I saw that first leak. Because we just got the first RC. Like it's been a year. Like what would there be? Would there be? John said there is. Okay, so maybe not. But like, but I don't know. I thought the RC. I'm like, no. Like why would they? Why would they come up with a second generation RC when it's just been a year since the first one came out? But it looks like they probably just added in those external antennas.
Transmission change probably because RC always
Yeah,
had the initial RC always had short range with transmission, right?
yeah. That's what like a lot of people said. I never ran into those issues because I don't fly very far away. And I remember I have seen people in like Australia who, I guess Australia doesn't have as much regulation when it comes to like
Well, if you
how
fly
far you can
Mini
fly your
3, it
drone.
doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, like I guess like I never really flew my drone. I don't fly my drones far enough away to where I run into those issues. But like I've seen people complain about it before. So I know it's an issue. So hopefully these external antennas, so they'll be paired with, I guess there'll be 2 internal, 2 external, um, and then they'll be easier to have those longer ranges.
And the main spec updates are really on the camera. So
Yeah,
we
which
do
I'm excited
see,
for.
yes,
I
yeah, we
think
do see.
one of my features is in this one for sure, and that's f1.7 camera. So
Mhm.
I put in this article that it looks like there's a sub f1 f2 camera on here, and then I didn't look at all the images. I looked at one that had it like clearly as day. You can read the text on it, and so there's 2 cameras. We don't know what the specs of the cameras are, of course. Of course, we're assuming there's probably a 1-inch camera and maybe like a little bit less than 1-inch camera on the top one. That'll be a zoom camera. But the top camera has f2.8 written across the bottom, and then the bottom camera has f1.7 written across it. So we're getting some upgrades. We're getting a boost in aperture on this drone compared to the Air 2S, and then so low light is going to be great on that.
Air
Maybe
2S was already pretty great for low light. When it
I mean it
got
was already
released,
great.
it was
Yeah,
already
one
doing
inch, 20
better.
megapixels
Mhm.
was pretty good. I wonder if we can. I wonder if they can bump the megapixels now. Like it was on the 1.7. I don't know. I think I mentioned a 48 megapixel camera would be great, and everyone hated that idea on my article. So I understand 20 megapixels at 1 inch is like amazing, and it is. I will concede my argument for 48 pixel. You guys win. Maybe we can stick to a 20 megapixel 1-inch camera on this thing. Yeah, no vertical. Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't think vertical would be on this drone. That's not really the whole market for the Air one,
Well,
is it?
plus, as far as DJI goes, there's always one thing on one specific drone that's not on the rest,
All the
right?
rest of them, yeah. And the Mini 3, like that is that is a very much like social media type drone. Like it's meant for one team productions with like you're your own. If the influencer is just that one person who wants to do vertical video, and so they can just take a small drone out, fly vertical, get some photo, pack it up. It's not meant for. I mean, the Air 2, the Air lineup is also probably is meant for that next lineup, but it's more meant for like you're starting to get into professional work. You're starting to get into, you know, just like stuff that you would need actual, like some serious power behind, and vertical just it's getting there. Like it's something that a lot of companies want, but like you're probably not doing like large scale, social media work with the Air. You're probably just doing like some video work and some photo, like photo work that you can crop down if you really need to into vertical.
Well, I find vertical for framing, it helps. At least you know exactly where your framing would be.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. I think for Air 3, the market is still those who want to go a step up, especially with Mini 3. I love the Mini 3 lineup. But let's face it, in wind, it doesn't cut it
Oh
in
yeah,
wind, right?
it, it,
It gets
it
tossed around quite a bit.
It's pretty good. Like I mean, even when it's like windy, like the video is still pretty stable. Um,
But if you
but
go
yeah, it's
anywhere
not.
open water and wind goes up to 30, and if you're trying
Oh
to
yeah,
battle the
that
headwind
is
coming
terrifying.
back, it is challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is like I mean the
Plus,
Mavic
I
3 is
find
solid.
if you really want to use tracking properly, Mini 3, I mean, let's face it, size still matters. Mini 3, I find it's a half-half chance, 50-50 chance. Sometimes it works with tracking, sometimes it just doesn't, depending on contrast, color, distance, shape, everything, right? But
Yeah,
Mavic 3 does really good with tracking, so I suspect at least on the Air 3, it's gonna do really good with tracking.
yeah. So
And plus, it's going to be 360, just like the Air 2S. The APAS system, the obstacle avoidance will also be better, which typically on the Air lineup, comparing to the Mini lineup.
yeah, and I mean this is I'm excited for this double camera setup. I don't I was a little shocked when the leaks started coming out that there would be double cameras because I thought the Air would be a solid like single camera use, like a single camera drone. Like it's like I feel like dual camera is pushing too much into the Mavic area. Um, but I'm excited to still see it. I don't know what the zoom will be on that top camera. I think we've seen 5x, we've seen 3 or 7x. I'm not hoping for a 7x. I think a 3x would be great. 5x would be a good middle ground. Um,
I'm gonna guess 5x. I guess we'll see.
I think
Again,
it's a
knowing
good middle
DJI,
ground
they
because
yeah, they tend to again they tend to have one thing on the drone that the other ones don't.
yeah,
So just from a product lineup perspective, 5x makes sense from manufacturer standpoint.
yeah. Although I was doing this weekend I was up in northern Michigan with family and we rented an Airbnb and I took my Mavic 3 Pro out and I was doing some like I was practicing like doing like real estate photography. Like I haven't done it before. I haven't done it in a while. So um I'll fly around and the 3x for photos it's just that's like so good. Like you don't have the added compression like it's really nice and like it just like it just fills the photo out like so much better than a wide angle does. And I think a 5x would just be too much for that. And I've always looked at the Air 3
Well,
as the Air
3x
lineup as a
on the Mavic 3 Pro is a really nice lens too.
it's such a nice lens. It's so nice. And I think 5x would be too much. I've always looked at the Air as more of a photo centered drone with the Mavic being more video centered, even though they can both do either extremely well. And I feel like 5x is just a bit too much for that. I mean, I guess it's better than 7x. So 7x, it's like if you're using 7, you're either like flying at your 4, you're flying at 400 feet to look at the ground, or you're like up like doing like cityscape from like outside the city and trying to get like city photos. Like that's kind of the like a good uses I've seen for the 7x for photos. For video, I don't even know what you're doing. I tried. I've done some video at 7x. It's kind of like I could also just fly low. Like I don't need to fly that high to get the same
Well,
shot.
if you want just the next level up from Mini, right? If you want one that does better in
Yeah,
wind, that's better in tracking, just want the next level up and doesn't have the
yeah,
budget for the full Mavic 3 Pro, let's say, setup, then Air 3 is there to fill the gap.
yep. So yeah, I think this is a really great middle ground. Like I think if I'm gonna buy a drone, like a lot of my drones I have are not owned by me; they're owned by the company for review units. Um, I think if I'm gonna buy a drone, like this would definitely be it. Like this, the Air lineup for me is like pretty solid. So like I don't really need the 7x on the Mavic 3 Pro, even though I love the 3x. So we'll see whatever X this top drone comes out of. Um, and like it looks like it's gonna be a solid flight time. It's probably gonna be in the 30 to 35 minute range. I think they seem like they've upgraded the battery. Wind Wind Future was the one who leaked these originally, and they had some details about the battery being upgraded a little bit more, and they have pricing. But some of their information was a little mixed up. Like they called the RCN2 the RC2, like they were referring to the RCN2 as like the upgraded version of the RC. And their pricing came from Amazon that I they didn't like show anything for it. They just kind of claimed it. So I didn't it was like there was no photos of it. So like okay, like I don't know how much towards the end of the article, I'm like, I don't know how much is true or not. But they did say they did apparently claim that the battery is upgraded, so it's a beefier battery. So we'll
With
see how much
all
that
DJI's
upgrades.
with all DJI's third generation, it looks like batteries are at least in a 30-minute range, right? At least manufacturer rating for flight time is 30 minutes range. It's interesting to see, like, every time there's a major lineup update, there's always some specs that the industry standards is being brought to the next level again.
Actually, they're all like kind of close to the 40-minute range, actually, because there's a Mini 3 can on the Plus battery can go up to 40. Mavic 3 can go up to 40. So I'm assuming this would be probably can go up to like 38, maybe like closer to 40. Now that's like we'll never get anywhere close to that because that's like not real world scenarios that they're
Like
testing
your fuel efficiency, right?
Yeah, like there's whatever, but like that's like they the manufacturer like they bumped up to the 40-minute ranges. So we'll see if they continue that with the Air 3 that all their batteries are now in the 40-minute, all their flight times are in the 40-minute range.
It would be nice. I mean, that's definitely an improvement.
It would be, yeah. I mean, any improvement to battery life is nice because it just gives you extra time to fly back when your battery's low. So
now, enough on the Air 3. We also saw another potential leak. If you
talking about the Mini 3.
Well, if you ask me that, I mean, over there, I don't know, it's too blurry. I feel like there's a 4 there, but the look of it
does look like a 4.
But the entire look of the drone just looks like the Mini 3. Like there's no substantial change from the look.
This was not. Yeah, I didn't expect this to come out at all this week. I mean, usually DJI waits about like a 1.5 to 2 years before they update a drone. So getting leaks
this
about
would be too early for Mini 4.
This would be really, really early for Mini 3. So it doesn't, and it looks like it's, to me, if they call it Mini 4, that wouldn't really make sense since it doesn't look like anything's changed outside of it does look a little more streamlined, but also the obstacle avoidance sensors look very, very different. They look like they've been upgraded in a way. They look bigger, look more angled out to the side. So I think one of the big issues with the Mini 3 Pro has been the obstacle avoidance. It's pretty much blindsided. Like it's like blind to the side.
It doesn't have sideway.
Yeah, I remember when we got the briefing, like they talked about like the rear sensors. They're in the front because they're coned, and they can see more to the side. But like that's true if things are still behind you. But it's like if you're flying sideways into a tree, like it's not gonna see the tree. It's gonna go right into it. Yeah, like I don't know if it's a Mini 3 SE. Mini 3 SE would be, I think a Mini 3S, like an upgraded version of the Mini 3 with upgraded obstacle avoidance.
Well, if we look at what happened to Air 2, that's when DJI released Air 2S. And same thing with Mavic 3 when DJI released Mavic 3 Pro that essentially replaced the original Mavic 3. So let's see if they would, if this were a Mini 3S, would there be slightly better improvement on some of the specs and just replace
that makes sense.
That Mini 3?
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think a Mini 3S with upgraded obstacle avoidance. I don't even know what they would do for camera wise. It's 4K 60 at f1.7. That's pretty solid. That's for a mini drone. That's all you need. Maybe I have no idea what you would.
I don't think they need to touch the camera. I think if they can, if they can improve the obstacle avoidance, that would be great.
Yeah, that's really all they need to upgrade for it to be a pretty solid Air 3S for me. Is just better obstacle avoidance that can see better to the side. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. I don't think I would get the Mini 3 obstacle avoidance perfect because it's just such a small drone that you're not going to be able to put enough on it to stay below the 250 grams to see in 360 like you get with the Air in the Mavic series. But I think if they can upgrade enough to where you don't have to worry about flying sideways into a tree, like I did, or into a pole like other people did.
We also had a question about SDK. I mean, SDK not just for on Mavic lineup. If you ask me, SDK even on Mini 3 lineup as well, because some of the, let's say, third-party software or apps you could use. For example, Drone Deploy was saying that they supported Air 2S and supported even Mini 2. And also Litchi. So if you're a photographer, videographer, if you tried Litchi on the DJI drones, I find it it's a neat little app. right? You can do some
Yeah.
of the program stuff that that's limited by, let's say, either waypoint or hyperlapse on, your typical quick shots or master shots. But we haven't seen that SDK being. I presume we're talking about the camera drone lineup, because obviously on enterprise drones, then the SDK is all open, right? But on
Yeah.
the camera drone lineup, we haven't seen those support on the third generation drones in general. So Mini 3 or Mavic 3. Would be nice to see that being opened up, but I personally don't have any updates on that, so I guess we'll see. Even Mini 2 and Air 2S was only supported only earlier this year, right?
Yeah, it takes a few years for them to like open it up.
Yeah, but by the time they open it up, they're releasing a new drone.
Usually a new drone. And
So
I don't
defeats the
think I
purpose.
think we would have to wait for the Mavic 4, Mini 4 stuff to be released before they open it up for that. Because
But
that's just
that
kind
is
of like
something that DJI should address. I mean, either they come up with an app or update on their quick shots that can support it, or let the other apps to work with SDK, right?
yeah, that totally makes sense. It's within their right to control their product as much as they want, but also it's like, if you're not going to give us the tools that we want, can you please let third party device? It's like, please, like we want more third party stuff. So it's like one of those like arguments that you can't win no matter which way you go, because they're both right.
Now, also, so if you use enterprise and the camera lineup, a lot of our enterprise clients, right, complain that all the quick shots and master shots you have on camera drone lineup, so Mavic 3, Mini 3, none of those are available on enterprise drones. And that's just the software block from DJI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
vice versa on the your camera drones. So let's say we have clients who doesn't need the precision like mechanical shutter and RTK on the Mavic 3E. They're saying, well, I can live with, let's say, just Mavic 3 Pro for the camera quality. I don't need centimeter accuracy, or I can use ground control points. How about let me install, let's say, a survey app on the camera drone?
yeah.
So right now the two lines don't really cross, right?
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's, we know what DJI is doing. Like they want to lock down.
They want you to buy a new one.
They want you to spend more money on their enterprise products. Like, it's welcome to capitalism. But yeah, it's a little infuriating for people who don't need the enterprise stuff, that they're kind of like blocked out of that stuff. But yeah, DJI's company, I guess, until
It would be
we
nice to see
find someone we can harass enough to change it.
I mean, it would be nice to see at what point they would allow the two to have feature updates, or essentially it's a software block. Would be nice to see if one can use the features from the other.
Yep. Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if there's something interchangeable. There might just not be compatibility. Maybe there is something changed inside of it. Like maybe it is a different chipset that just doesn't, software just hasn't been compatible with the two. I don't see that's kind of like a cop-out answer, but maybe it's just like there's work
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's hey, when you control everything, you can benefit from not having programs to succeed internally to make things all compatible.
Well, before we wrap up stories for this week, there was a update. Let me stop sharing. There was a release from Transport Canada this week on a notice of proposed amendment for complex beyond visual line of sight operations in Canada. And there was a bit of a hype everywhere about the release, which we're going to cover more in details next week. Essentially, this is proposing. We're talking about the proposal, right? I don't want to get everyone too excited. Last time they made the proposal was for limited low risk beyond visual line of sight operations, and that hasn't even been published. We're talking about we're already year 3 into this. So if we apply the same timeline, what they're proposing right now, factoring in some changes, updates, it's not going to come in for at least another 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So interested to see stuff coming out. Yeah, but yeah, we're a few years out from any sort of proposal.
It's a nice signal to say that we're heading towards that direction. However, it's not going to happen overnight. So next week, stay tuned. We'll bring you more updates. And that is all, everyone. I guess if you're in Canada, have a great long weekend. If you're in the States, next week is Independence Day. So enjoy your Independence Day.
Even longer weekend.
Have an even longer weekend. We'll see you back here next Friday.